Today, let's talk about sundowning. So, sometimes when a person thinks about sundowning, they think of a beautiful sunset. And fair enough, I would too. But with Alzheimer's and dementia, sundowning is a little bit different. It's the time of the day between 3 and 6 p.m. where a loved one is kind of unsure, or it's that time of the day where their brain knows they're going from daytime to nighttime, but they're having a hard time adjusting. And so it can come out in different challenging behaviors. So here are some ideas to try and help if your loved one is experiencing sundowning. I would recommend sensory calming activities. So this could be making cookies. Now you could do them from scratch. If you are, that's amazing. But you can also just buy the roll of cookie dough from the store. You could even cut it in half and you don't have to make all of them. You stick them in the oven and you get your house or your place smelling wonderful. Usually people like the smell of freshly made cookies, and hopefully your loved one this could be a cue to them being, oh, food's coming up, or it could be an appetizer for dinner even, and it could get them feeling comfortable, and it can actually be really relaxing to smell freshly baked cookies. You can make bread. If you are a baker, that's an amazing talent. You could easily have your house smelling like fresh bread. Another really simple one is cinnamon and toast. You just toast a little bit of bread, add some butter, cinnamon, sugar, and that smell is comforting. It allows them to think, oh, okay, it's a calming thing to do during the sundowning moment. Another activity idea is music. I love music. I'm a harpist. Maybe you've seen some of my other videos, but essentially if you put on relaxing music, it could be a DVD, it could be a YouTube, you could do Yanni, you could do Andre Rieu, anything that allows them to kind of sink into it. So you're kind of replacing that anxious behavior with a calming one, and maybe that would help. So try that. And then another option to try is if your loved one is kind of on the go and is searching and they're trying to figure out, they're searching for something, but maybe they're not articulating it or they're having difficulty with it, maybe lean into that in a safe way, of course. Bundle them up and say, let's go for that walk. And that will burn that energy and maybe help calm them in a way. So you could try that. And then as you're on a walk, you talk about where you are, what you see, what you hear, and that could be an enjoyable experience. And you could talk to them. If they're having a hard time engaging in conversation and you're asking questions and you're kind of getting frustrated that they're not remembering or they're not answering, don't be afraid to kind of share what you think. Sometimes that will help kind of grease the gears in the brain and get them kind of like remembering a bit better. And you're focusing on the long-term memories, not necessarily their short-term ones. And then I had an example where I had a lady and she was sundowning and she was in a wheelchair and she was getting up from the wheelchair. And so I had to make sure it was safe, of course. And I was like, well, sure, let's go for that walk. And so she'd stand up and I'd be like, well, let's bring this chair. And she goes, no, I don't want to. So then I said, well, I might get tired and I might need a place to rest. Can we bring it along that way? Now, it's not necessarily that I'm going to get tired in a walk. I know that her stamina might not be able to maintain that walk. So I'm making it about me instead. If I were to ask her, oh, we should bring your wheelchair for you, she'd be like, no, I don't need it. All right, fine. No problem. Let's bring it for yourself then. So we went for this walk. I was pushing this wheelchair. She was right next to me and I was being a Nancy Drew. I was looking for signs in her that would tell me that she's getting winded or she was maybe struggling. And I would say, like, and sure enough, it did happen. And I was like, oh, you know what? I just happen to have this chair here. Do you want to sit down for a moment? And sure enough, she said yes. And then I was able to push her the rest of the way. But on our walk, we were able to talk about what we saw, what we heard, and just how the beauty of nature. So be creative. And once again, if one thing doesn't work, that's okay. just try another angle and try a different approach. And maybe that will. Don't get discouraged if one activity doesn't work. Just try again. And let me know if you've experienced your loved one's sundowning, if you've tried different activities, what worked, what didn't work. I'd love to hear from you. Please like, subscribe, share, and I hope these things help you with your loved one if they're sundowning.